On Friday night of last week, which is the 18th, the SBA issued a loan forgiveness calculation form. It's 11 pages long, which we sent out earlier this week on Monday. And as we're going through it, we found a couple things that they have changed, which they could have easily disclosed the first week of April, the mid of April, not the middle of May. Two things in particular that have been changed. One is an owner is not allowed to be called a full-time equivalent employee. In absolute numbers, that makes no difference. But when you do the calculations, and if you're not near 100%, it makes a big difference in the math because the percentages change. If normally you have 4 employees and you're one of them, and now you don't count, now there's 3 employees, and let's say you reduce by 1, well, you go from 3 to 2, that's a 33% drop. It impacts the calculation for the loan forgiveness. If you were at 4, when you counted, you go from 4 to 3, that's only a 25% drop. There's a difference here in the math. Absolute numbers, no difference. So that becomes apparent when we go through the worksheet, and it only becomes apparent on the worksheet because it's not been issued in any guidance that we can locate. If it's there, they've done a great job of not showing it very clearly. The other part that they have now made clear Friday night is an owner cannot increase their wages over last year. An owner is forbidden from having a wage increase. So let's say you're an owner and you didn't have such a good year last year and you kept costs lower, so you reduced your wages. And then you started going back up again in January, February. You're not allowed to for the loan forgiveness. You have to use your wages last year at the max. That doesn't seem to be very fair. It seems to be very arbitrary. And they're going to wait till now to say something. And the law was passed 2 months ago, and they wait 2 months later to not exactly tell us. They just issue it on a Friday night. So one of the things we're saying is call your congressman up. Call your congressman up and tell them you want a couple things done. You want the loan to be deductible. IRS says no. Tell your congressman you want it to be deductible. 2, tell your congressman you want owners to be treated as full-time equivalent employees. It can have an impact on the numbers. Number 3, you want to tell your congressman, why can't an owner have a wage increase? Why is that? Why can that not be done? That should be allowed. So what you see here in front of you, we've omitted some information here on purpose because this is a real one that we've been working on to see the numbers go through. And if you're doing your own, you will find it takes a long time to do. This is what the SBA wants. What your lender wants, they may have their own online format. But you got to run through all the numbers. The numbers here aren't so important as when we get down to this worksheet. This is where they hid where an owner does not count as a full-time equivalent employee. Here's the employees right here. And right here in table 1 and table 2. Table down below here is the owner shows up, but the owner does not count as an employee anywhere because you see there's no column for full-time equivalent employee. And then the owner is supposed to certify that they did not have a wage increase. We don't know what the lender is going to ask for. We don't know if the lender is going to go back to every single company who submits their documents and say, let's see the owner's W-2 from the prior year. We have no clue if they're going to do that or not. Let's go to page 5 here. And this PDF will send this out as well. There's different methods of calculating full-time equivalent employees down here at the bottom. There, we have to disclose number of employee owners. Most of you, one owner. Some of you may have 2, 3 owners, etc. Then there's the 40-hour method, and it can make a difference. We use the simplified method in this situation. It came out a little bit higher. So, as we've kind of said before, the loan process, the initial part of it, obtaining a loan, not difficult, but very time consuming, especially when the rules were changing. Now we're getting into the complex part. There's different ways of calculating full-time equivalent employees. We know about the owners can't get wage increases, so we're going to encourage people, call your congressman up, and we're going to list down suggest what you want, because if you're an owner, you're getting impacted negatively here, and if you're an employee, you probably don't really want your owner to be negatively impacted, because ultimately it hurts everyone in the organization. Whether you've got 2, 3 employees or 35 employees, it impacts you. Because if the owner is feeling the pain of not getting a loan deduction and not being able to increase their wage, well, they're going to feel the pain down the road of things are going to be a little bit tighter, which is bad for an organization for growth and updating and modernizing and investing within the business. So we're going to encourage that. So again, that they hit some rules which they could easily disclosed. First week of April, no later than mid-April, because many of you may have had a loan now for a month, and now you find out there's some new rules in play. So that's our thoughts on this one here. It is time consuming to do as well. For those of you doing it yourself, you will find this is not a 1 hour fill in the blank form. What you don't see is all the details and supporting documentations that likely every lender is going to want in some way. They're going to want 2 months of rent and utilities, retain all the invoices and receipts. Every lender may have a different set of criteria, but they're going to have some sort of criteria. So again, this is attached to this video for your review and consideration. Thanks.